Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 6 of the iDoctor Q&A, the weekly show where I answer your questions with my knowledge. Starting off, we've got the Armstrong effect, who was discussing on a Samsung S22 Ultra front screen replacement video. What kind of glue do you use for back reinstall? You know what, we've discussed this every week. I'm going to have a confession here, right now. I don't see these questions before I answer them. Alex handpicks them, and then I go through them. I'll be honest, I'm a busy guy. I do look at them, but I don't know what's coming up. This one was discussed last week. We don't use glue for sticking on back covers. Or we definitely don't use BV1000 or B7000, whichever glues we're talking about. We use tester tape, so 5mm, 10mm tester tape. It does a really good job of creating a sort of seal on the back covers. We just cut it to fit. So that's that one. Moving on. B-Joke Rud or B-Joker UD on a 13 Pro battery replacement tutorial. So the phone will work without the more extensive welding repair. Does the error message go away or something? We can't be having an error message popping up every 5 minutes or whatever. So that's on a iPhone 13 Pro battery replacement tutorial. Usually what I do when I make these videos, I make a couple of different videos. I don't know if I've got in fact, I know that there's a video already on the channel of a 13 Pro battery replacement, and I do replace it using the welding repair and the tag on flex method. Although last week we discussed about the 13.4 and the way that interrupts that. So the battery, yes, you can use the welding message. The error message, if you don't do the welding method, will not go away. It does remain in settings, but yeah, it will sort of go away. It don't pop up every 5 minutes like you're being a bit dramatic about that one. Florida EBB. Somebody made a super donation. Thank you very much. I always appreciate it. I don't know why. It's only just started people sending super donations. I'm not sure. Maybe we've only just turned it on or activated it. But yeah, everybody who buys me a coffee or gives me a super donation, you are the absolute best. And yeah, you keep this channel alive. On the iPhone ear speaker cleaning video, we've got Basement Boys who says, I very rarely comment, but your video saved me. I could barely afford this XR. You deserve a sub. Well, thank you very much, Basement Boys. I really, really appreciate it. And then Alexander says on the refurbing video, what is the screen tester that you use? You know, I'm trying to think. I can see the picture of it in my mind, but I can't remember what it's called. So the screen tester, I thought I'd gone through my sofa then. The screen tester that we use is the iTest box. It's called an iTest box. It's pretty good. I don't use it very often. I don't even know where it is. I've just found the box where it belongs in, but I couldn't see the tester. Otherwise, I would have shown you which one it is. But the iTest box, I think it's called. Very good. Does the job nicely. Moving on. K Grant Thai 30Y. Sorry, I'm looking at this through a little teleprompter. I'm trying to read and make sure that I'm including all of the text on there. So on the iPad Air battery replacement guide, K Grant Thai 30Y. Is it possible to do it without the suction cup or any recommendation? So if you're removing the screen without the suction cup, you can get away with just using the metal blade to pry it up first and then getting the plastic blade in between. But I just find that using a suction cup to pull it up a little bit will help the situation quite a lot. So I would recommend using a suction cup if you can. They're not very expensive to buy. They'll probably cost you a few pounds or a few dollars depending where you live. And yeah, they'll do the job nicely. In fact, sod it, we'll put a little suction cup link in the description below. Alex, don't forget. Yeah, John will get you if you don't put the link in there. So yeah, I would recommend using it if you can. But if not, razor blade to pry it up a little bit to get a small gap, and then a plastic tool to cut the adhesive through. Moving on, Shield V YouTube 795 on the how to solve iPhone sunken camera video. I used elastic hairband with no glue, no fuss, never had a return. Okay, I have seen those before, but yeah, when they've actually sort of snapped off already, they need to be reset. It doesn't quite work in that way. So yeah, I would definitely recommend using the glue, but fair play. If that works for you and you don't get any returns, then I'm not here to judge. Back to the S22 Ultra front screen replacement video. I can't even read that. MEOORU 8056. Do you need to replace my front screen if you've got a bright white bar at the top of the screen after the software update? I mean, I don't know if it's the software update what's caused it. Usually a bright white bar is OLED damage or flex damage on the OLED display, and it probably is time to replace it. But I'm not sure for sure. If it happened during an update, it's very strange. It sounds more like physical damage to me, in all honesty. Moving on onto the iPhone 8th Gen charging port repair. DJ Cub says, super easy, you just need to be able to solder. Oh yeah, that's easy. I guess that might be satire. See, it is easy. Yeah, you're right, if you can solder, but it's a beginner's soldering repair. It's not microelectronics, essentially. If you want to replace the charging port on the iPad 8th Gen, then you have to remove the whole logic board from the device, flip it over, desolder the existing charging port, and resolder a new charging port on. Right. As opposed to the video which explains that you can do it in situ and it's actually a repair rather than a replacement. What I find with the replacements, and I've discussed this with other technicians, is that all you're doing is putting another charging port on there what will fail. Whereas if you repair it, it's not a bodge. If we're just touching up the solder pads, adding a little haunching on it, making it stronger, reinforcing it, then that's a repair and it's sustainable. It works really well actually, and tightening them screws up is probably the most important part of that repair as well. So yeah, I get that, yeah, you need to be able to solder, but the point of it is that it's an easier method than pulling out the board and replacing the whole charging port flex cable. I hope you understand. Right, John is back. John Carr 3458. Great vid, thanks for answering my question. I've been repairing consoles for a few years part-time and have a lot of expensive equipment which has probably paid for themselves. I have now started to look at Apple Watches and iPhones. What are the bits of equipment that you would recommend as someone who isn't doing this as a hobby, but at the same time not doing it full-time? As an example, would you recommend a laser for back glass? Thank you again. I wouldn't recommend a laser for back glass. They're probably the last thing that you want to get. I would highly recommend a heat mat. A heat mat will be really helpful for iPads, Apple Watches and phones alike, because I can't imagine that you've got a heat mat already if you're just doing console repairs. I can't think what you would use a heat mat for. I know that I don't do a lot of console repairs, but I know that I've never used a heat mat for console repairs. So yeah, highly recommend a heat mat. I'll put a link in the bio just for you, John, because I know that you're always picking on us for not putting the link in the bio, but that's okay. I'm just trying to think if there's any other tools. Like a laser, you'll make your money back on a laser really quick, and they are good, but they're less of a popular repair now. A lot of people go for the entire housing replacement. We've just had the laser for that long that it's just part of the shop, isn't it? But I don't know. I always see, we've got a Facebook group, and I always see lasers up for sale, so I don't know whether that's the best thing to do. Anyway, moving on. On a screen replacement guide for the iPad 7th Gen, a very detailed guide with great tips, gave me the confidence to replace my digitizer and home button. Well, I'm glad that the video helped, genuinely, and I see it's giving you the confidence to replace your digitizer and home button. Did you do it successfully? That's what I want to know, so let me know if you see this video. On the iPhone XR screen replacement, Yash AR says, question for you. If I want to swap screens between two iPhone XRs, do I need to swap Face ID sensors, and do I need to recalibrate it for the True Tone display, or should I skip these two steps? Thank you in advance. So, if you want to keep Face ID, you need to make sure that the dot projector, the front camera, the infrared camera, not necessarily the front camera, but you're going to keep it anyway, the proximity sensor and the ambient light sensor, you need to make sure that they all stay with the motherboard that it's paired to. So on the back of the screen, you've got the ear speaker with the sensors on it. You need to remove that and put it onto your new screen. That's important. True Tone, optional, but to keep it all original, it's the best thing to do. In my newer videos where we're doing screen replacements, like on iPhone 12, 13, 14, blah, 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 I don't always do that because these videos are DIY videos. So these videos are aimed at people to do this job at home themselves with some basic tools. I know that it's not a basic tool to have a True Tone reprogrammer. I know on that XR video that I do it, but not on all videos. There's no point. There's no point because I'm preaching to the wrong choir. Oh, literally, the next question or the next comment was from Alcor Forever. And it says, very helpful video. I didn't have the True Tone machine, so skip that step, but I fixed my wife's iPhone otherwise. Thank you. So, I mean, they've answered your question. You can skip that step because he fixed his wife's phone, and I'm sure that she's a very happy lady now. And you might have even got laid that night. I'll call forever. I hope you did. Quiet or muffled iPhone ear speaker video. Lizard in A-Town says, this man is a hero. I know. I agree. I wish I had found this video before all the troubleshooting. Who knew it was just that dirty? I feel ashamed, but at least I can make phone calls again without being on speakerphone. I have this conversation with people when we explain that they've got dust or muck in their charging port or muck in their ear speaker at the shop, and they're like, they don't. It's not because you're dirty. It's just general muck. Everybody's exposed to muck all around us every day. It's just one of them things. Phones are dirty. There's articles out there what I'm sure say that phones are as dirty as like a toilet seat. So it's important to clean them regular. It's just that we don't. It's just bad habits say that we don't clean our phones regular. But you're like touching it with your hands. It goes in your pocket, and then you put it to your face. It's pretty gross when you think about it. So if you can take one thing away from this situation, clean your phone. I would recommend it. Get some isopropyl alcohol and just wash it. Even if you used a bit of like hand sanitizer or something on a cloth, it'd do a decent job of getting rid of bacteria and killing all the nasty stuff. Yeah, like Nathan says, don't soak it. Don't soak it in it. It doesn't. Just use common sense. Use your brain, man. On the iPhone 11 battery replacement tutorial, step by step, made easy. I'm just reading off the teleprompter, so whatever it says, I will read. Pixel Dome 3D897 says, after replacing an iPhone battery and it has battery health programmed back to 100%, would it return to its old battery health after the iPhone has been reset? When you are replacing a battery and use the tag-on flexes, that reprogram itself, can you then go and use the same tag-on flex in a different phone battery replacement? Yes, good question. So with the tag-on flex replacement, like on the iPhone 11 is a great example. You can, on that one, plug in the tag-on flex, take it out, and the phone will be fine. Even if it's reset, it doesn't really matter. I'm not sure about 17.4. I know I called it 13.4 earlier, but yeah, definitely 17.4. I'm not sure if it works the same on that, but I know on the older versions of iOS, it worked fine. And you can reuse those tag-on flexes. It works fine. It's not a problem at all. So yeah, that answers that question. Moving on to the next question, we have got Alexander. Have we already answered a question from you, Alexander? It doesn't matter if we have. We'll answer another one. iPhone XR battery replacement. Lots of battery replacement questions today. Does this process work with an iCopy 2.2 Plus? Does it? I don't know. We use the JC tools. If the iCopy 2.2 Plus is designed to copy data from batteries or reprogram batteries, then yes, it will. If it's not, I don't know. The honest answer is I don't know. I've never used an iCopy 2.2 Plus. I've got a Qianli programmer. I can't remember what it's called. Something to do with space. I can't remember the name of it exactly, but we don't use it, so I don't know. Moving on. Tyler6 says on the iPhone XR screen replacement guide, thank you. This has been the best and easiest to follow video that I've watched. You deserve far more views. Well, thank you. That's really kind. I agree. We deserve far more views and far more money, but you know, that is life. And that's how things go, I suppose. But yeah, if you want to tell your mates about it and get me some more views, then I'd really appreciate it. But you know, what can you do about it? What can you do about it? I think that's the last question or comment that we've gone through. I feel as though there are a few repetitive comments that I keep talking about week in, week out. So maybe try and ask some different questions in future. But I suppose it only just goes off the videos. If not, I will try and make up some topics that we could talk about in the next video. And we'll see how that goes. Anyway, that just about concludes episode 6. Thank you for watching and see you next time.